right? So let us begin. Okay, now, this thing that you see, like scanning the QR code for the worksheet, if you don't have the worksheet, feel free to scan it. Please don't make any extra copies. Just download it into your device. Okay, you will see this on screen for most of my slides. So if halfway you lose your worksheet, perfectly fine. You can just scan the QR code and re-download it again. Okay. Now, if you're wondering how today's lesson is going to go, this is basically it. Okay, so we'll start with a brief introduction, right? Just a brief one, who I am, what Overmugged is all about. Then we will take a look at the questions. Now, for those of you who have already skimmed through your worksheet, you'll find that we are focusing on section C, specifically the comprehension component. Okay, so because it is the expository comprehension component only, we will only be focusing on two question types for today. Okay? Now, after we're done looking at the question types, I will give you some reminders because I know some of your WA1s are on section C as well. Okay, then I will give you some time to read the passage and just try some of the questions before we review both the passage and the answers. Okay? Now, let's get started with the introduction, right? So I think some of you already know me, so take this as a bit of a recap. Okay, but welcome to Overmark's WA1 online revision for Sec 1 to Sec 4 students. My name is Miss Amira, so I think I see some familiar names over here. Okay, what do I teach, right? I teach English, right, upper and lower secondary for G2 and G3. I also teach general paper, which is a subject that you take in junior college for those of you who are interested. GP is kind of like English, but with only argumentative essay writing. Ah, okay. Now, a little bit more about me. All right. So, I'm actually an ex-Learning Lab secondary JC English and GP tutor. I was there for about 5+ years. I'm currently Overmark's English subject head, and 70% of my students actually achieve A1 and A2 at their O levels. Okay. So, this is kind of like a mini compilation I did. I'm not very tech savvy, so that's another fun fact about me. So, I had my sister help me out with this one. Okay. Now, a couple more fun facts about me. I have three cats. So if you take a look at the picture, this is me eating my cat. This is just one of the three cats that I've adopted over the years. The other two, as you can see on screen, their names. This one is seaweed, bean, all right, and this one is kelede, which is Malay for sweet potato. Can you tell which cat is the naughtiest just based off the pictures? The orange one, yes, you can tell, right? He's always getting into a lot of trouble. Just recently, yeah, and I was telling my regular students about this as well. We found him on top of the air conditioner. Yeah, I don't know how, right? But we found him there. We heard him meowing, thought something was going on, went to the living room, saw him up there. He obviously jumped from the table and he didn't know how to get back down. So we had to coax him down. Yes, very orange cat behavior. You are right. Okay. Now, oops, oops, oops. Mandarin is also my second language, yes. So what this means is I took it for my PSLE, I took it for my O levels, and I took it for my A levels. I did pretty okay. For my O levels, I got A2. Yeah, all right. So it's a little rusty now, okay, but it's my second language. Malay is my third language, okay? Now, that's all that I will share about me. What about Overmarked? Okay. Now, Overmarked is probably a name that you guys are pretty familiar with. We are pretty active on social media. We've been spreading our love to more than 1,000 students right every year. We have 7 branches across Singapore as well, so you can see them on the map over here. The ones that I'm based at would be Kovan and Tampines for any of you East-siders. Okay. We are also considered the most popular tuition brand online. Yes, right. So I was in some of the advertisements as well. Okay. Now, as a company, right, what about our results? Well, 70% of our students actually achieved distinctions at the national exams. So for their O levels and their A levels, and for our A level students, they actually go on to attend top universities like NUS, NTU. Okay. Now, if you do join us, you will get access to the best learning resources to excel in your studies. Ah, okay. So this, I'm assuming your seniors? Ah, okay. So yeah, right. So if you join us, you will get access to things like curated notes, WA revisions like this one, mock exams, practical notes, and for science, you also get to do hands-on experiments, and of course, cheat sheets and after-class consultations. Okay. Now, I have been getting some questions about the resources here, so let me just run through two or three of them. For the curated notes, basically, if you join a class, you will get the curated notes for that subject for free. So, for example, if you join English, you'll get a free set of English curated notes for upper sec, of course. Okay. Now, as for mock exams, right, this happens across all the different subjects. For English, this will especially be the case in the second half of the year. But typically, every term we do have a mini test. All right. So some of you who are in my classes, right, you have experienced the mini test already. Okay. Now, this term, right, term two, we will also be covering the oral spoken interaction, planned response components, as well as the listening comprehension components. Yes, right. So I think not many places actually cover listening compre. So this is what we will be doing term two lah. Okay. Now, you will also get access to cheat sheets, and for English, you do have them as well. In fact, if you join my class, you will get access to resources like these. Okay, so for example, the extra essay question and outlines over here. For those of you who are interested in argumentative essay writing, there is also an extra vocab resource to help you develop your ideas for situational writing. And of course, for oral, all right? Or rather, you will also get right access to this consolidation document that's covering a range of themes from politics to social to technology, right? Technological. Yes, right. Jujutsu Kaisen. As you can tell, I also like anime. Yeah, so this is Jujutsu Kaisen. I haven't watched season three, so don't spoil for me. Okay, and this one is my current favorite anime, Dungeon Amishi. Yeah, okay. Now, with that, extra editing intensive exercises. Yeah, so instead of 10 questions, you will basically get 20. Ah, okay. So this is just to help you better remember your grammar rules. Actually, even in our classes, when we do editing practices, it's also 20 questions, right? Once in a while lah. Okay? Can so far? So that's all I will share about me and Overmarked. For my lesson schedules and stuff like that, I will share it at the end of the lesson. Okay, but stuff like that you can also find on the Overmarked website easily. Okay, all right. Now, let's begin. Okay, do note, right? And I think some of you have been doing this, which is great. Okay, feel free to direct message me any questions, but I do apologize in advance if I don't see your replies immediately because there are many of you here today. Do also note that the slides that you see on screen, they will not be shared, but I'm perfectly fine if you want to take any screenshots, any pictures, whatsoever. Okay? There is also a bit of a side quest that I have here for you. Okay, so I know this is a pretty popular meme, and there's a reason why I've chosen this sad looking ant. Okay, it has to do with our passage. Yeah, now you will be seeing this guy throughout the lesson, right, on my slides. Please keep track of the number of times this ant appears in my slides. Okay, yeah, he may appear once on a slide, he may appear twice. Okay, just keep track of the number of times, starting from the next slide onwards. So this slide doesn't count. Can I get everyone to give me a quick emoji of choice just so I can confirm that you're still here with me? Okay, great. Excited for the ends. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so I will only check in later at the end, lah. Yeah. Now, first up, based on my slide designs, right, can you tell what the passage is going to be about? What do you think is going to be on? Yeah, fungi. Yes, right? Fungi and mushrooms. Typically, your expository passages focus on a kind of real world issue, right? Something more factual, correct? Okay, today we'll be looking at a passage that has to do with fungi. Okay, so I promise you it is a little interesting. Okay, now Let me start by running through the questions or the question types with you first. So do flip to page 4 of your worksheet. You should see this little table there. Okay, I think there was also an error in your worksheet. Instead of for the expository question, it should be for the expository passage, but makes not much of a difference. Yeah. Now, for the expository passage, there are two main question types that typically appear. The first one is what I call the direct question. Now, for the direct question, you can simply copy and paste information from the tested paragraph unless the question requires you to answer in your own words. Okay? Now, what this means, or how do I know if a question is a direct question? Basically, if I go to the passage, if I go to the tested paragraph, they ask me to refer to paragraph 1, the answer will be staring directly into my eyes. Okay, so in other words, it is just there for the taking. That's how you know it's a direct question. And that's why it's called a direct question, because the answer can be found directly. Okay. Now, that's really the main way we can confirm if a question is indeed a direct question or not. But there are a couple of question markers, as I like to call them, that tell us it's a direct question. So, for example, if you get a question asking you to provide evidence, to provide a detail, to quote evidence, to cite evidence, it's definitely direct. Okay. If you get a question asking you to identify a word, a phrase, an expression, a sentence, that's also direct because you notice it's just you picking out the answer and putting it in your paper. Okay. Now, right. Hold on. I just realized there's some stuff happening in the chat. Okay, all right. But this is just to share with you, right? Examples of direct questions. Some of your schools call it, instead of a direct question, they call it a content question. Same thing, right? Even though I may call it a direct question or the school calls it something else, the skill is exactly the same. Okay, but these are just a couple of question markers. What? Some joke man is sharing his screen. Hold on a minute. Okay. Can all of you see my screen? What? Okay. All right. Only my screen? All right. I'm watching you guess. Okay. But so far so good. But thanks you guys for letting me know. Anything else, please let me know inside the Zoom chat. I appreciate it. Like I said earlier, I'm not super tech savvy. All right. So it would help. Okay. Now, to go back to this, okay, if you take a look at the direct question, okay, do know that when they say answer in your own words, sometimes even if the question doesn't ask you to answer in your own words, usually they are quite explicit, right? Identify ABC, answer in your own words. Using your own words as far as possible, identify ABC. Okay, so sometimes even if the question, usually the question is quite explicit, but even if let's say the question doesn't ask you to answer in your own words, you still need to do some tweaking or paraphrasing if the point is too long or if it is in what I call an irregular form. Okay. Sometimes when you do your sourcing, you realize it takes up like 5 sentences, right? Or 5 lines. So in that case, if it takes up 5 sentences, 5 lines, hmm, give me a second. Okay. All right. Now, even if it takes up, right, 5 sentences or 5 lines, you notice that you can't copy and paste everything, right? Okay, so since you can't copy and paste everything, high chance you need to do a bit of summarizing. Okay, so in that case, make sure that you don't just copy and paste everything blindly. Feel free to do some tweaking, some paraphrasing to shorten it so that it answers the question directly. Okay, now sometimes the point may also appear in an irregular form. So what do I mean by that? For example, if you take a look over here, I want a cheeseburger, said Miss Amira. And let's say the question is asking you, what did Miss Amira want? Okay, you notice there are two possible ways, right? I could approach. Okay, one, Miss Amira wanted a cheeseburger, or if I follow this one, I just copy and paste the information as is. You realize this second one here, it doesn't answer this particular question. Okay, so in this case, it doesn't answer this particular question. This answer is actually wrong. Okay, so make sure that when you're answering a direct question, you're always answering the question directly. Reuse the keywords in the question to help you out. Okay, so over here, what did Miss Amira want? Notice I'm reusing Miss Amira want a cheeseburger. Okay, how do you know if it's past tense or present tense? Okay, so in your answer, take a look at tense markers like this. Did, do, is, was. These will basically give you an idea of whether or not your answer should be in present tense or past tense. Okay? Everyone more or less clear with regards to the direct question? Okay? Okay. All right, good, 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 good. Okay, so then let's take a look at your inference question, which I am pretty sure, right? It sounds very familiar because you have been inferring, right, for the longest time. Okay, now for inference questions, right? The TLDR, as I like to say, like the short summary of it, is that you need to think beyond the passage. Okay? Basically, you need to read between the lines. The answer is not there for you to copy and paste as is. Okay, you need to do some inferring. Correct. It's like making logical guesses. Absolutely. Okay, so you're making logical guesses. Now, because you're making a guess, you cannot copy information from the text. Otherwise, you notice it's as if it is a direct question. So inference questions, you need to think beyond the passage. Common examples of inference questions would be the one that you see on screen, right? What, why, how do you think? Tone, and your attitude questions. Okay. Typically, the phrase, do you think, gives it away like that it's an inference question. But if, let's say, you come across a question, you don't know whether it's direct, you don't know whether it's inference. Remember, direct questions are questions where the answer can be found directly in the passage, right? So go and find the answer in the paragraph first. If it is not there, staring directly into your eyes, then it is likely an inference question. Okay, so that is really the only way, right, in a sense, to confirm if something is direct or inference. Okay, but if you see, for example, phrases like these, you will know for sure it is an inferential question. Okay, now one question that I have for you, notice there are two inference types here, right? Tone and attitude. What is the difference? What's the difference between tone and attitude questions? All right, let me know. Okay, action and words, feelings. Okay. Okay, right. I'm getting a few responses. Good. Okay, now when it comes to tone and attitude, all of you are right in that there is a difference. Okay, but typically when it comes to tone and attitude in a sense is precisely how you feel about something. Right? Technically, feeling and attitude, they are not the same. Right? Technically, they're not the same. But for the purposes of our comprehension, we can view them as the same. Okay? And so it's in a sense, attitude is how you feel, tone is how you sound when you're talking about that thing. So if, for example, my attitude towards coffee, right, is something that is a critical one. I am disapproving of coffee. I don't like coffee. You notice when I talk about coffee, am I going to sound very excited? Am I going to sound very positive and upbeat? Of course not, because I don't like coffee. So because my attitude is as such, my tone will also be, in a sense, in accordance with that attitude. It will follow my attitude. Okay? Everybody follow me so far? The words sometimes overlap, yes. So if my attitude is one of anger, right? Or I feel angry about something, it will be reflected in my tone as well. Tone is basically how I sound in that moment when I'm talking about that thing. Okay? Everybody can so far? Can you just give me one more emoji of choice before we take a look at the questions themselves? Okay, very good. Good. Okay, now let me clear the screen and let's take a look at the questions. Okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to give you some time, maybe about 2 minutes. Okay, just read the questions for today. Let me know if there are any words you want me to clarify. Do try to identify if there are any obviously direct or inferential questions as well. Okay, I'll run through it in about 1.5 more minutes. Okay? Okay, apt. Let me circle it. Apt should be, I think, question two. All right, anything else? Just type it in the chat. Perfectly fine. Okay, remnants. See, remnants should be this one. Ah, good. Okay, insidious. Okay, about 30-ish more seconds. Okay, quite interesting because some of these words, it's also inside the vocab list that I have for you. Yeah, in a sense, right? So this type of passage is also tested for normal acad. Normal acad, the questions may be slightly different. Normal academic, you have a question, for example, identifying the headings. So what is each paragraph about? Ah, okay. So because of that, normal acad is slightly different in that sense, lah. But passage-wise, expository will still be tested. Evan, I am not sure. All right. So obviously, I am not going to micromanage names, okay? Um, but yes, right. Try to have an appropriate name for this Zoom meeting, lah. Okay, but good. It's already 10:23. Good, right. Thank you, Richard, for also sharing, right? And the rest of you for also sharing what you think the words mean. Okay, and when it comes to the word apt, in fact, those of you that mentioned fitting, highly suitable, you are absolutely correct. Right, apt basically means like appropriate. Can I get you guys to jot that down? Okay, appropriate. Oh, whoa, why is my font so big? One second. Okay, let me know if you cannot see, okay? But appropriate or fitting, all right, or suitable. Right, good. Okay, so in other words, given the circumstances, it is very appropriate, right? It is very befitting of the particular context. In a sense, it matches. It matches the situation, it matches the character. Ah, okay. Right, does that clear things up for you? Guess? Okay. All right. Now, next one is remnants, right? I believe remnants, you can think of it as like bits. Like, you know, the word remains? What is remaining of something? Ah, okay. So remnants refers to not the small remaining parts of something. Okay, I would put the full thing here. Like I would say bits, like bits and pieces. Okay, small remaining parts of something that used to be big. Okay, or stronger. Okay, so that's remnants for you. So when I say, for example, remnants of civilization, it means that it is not a big civilization. It's like bits and pieces of civilization that is left. Initially, it's civilization. There were a lot of people, but now it's just bits and pieces. Okay? Does that clear things up for you? Ken? Okay. Now, insidious, and good that all of you are wondering what insidious means. Okay. Now, insidious basically means, and I think Richard, you mentioned this, correct. It is something negative. I would dare say it's something harmful, something dangerous, but it is not something that happens immediately. Okay. So when I say that something is insidious, I mean that it is dangerous or harmful in a quiet, gradual, slow kind of way. So it basically hurts you over time. Okay, and it hurts you in a way that's very subtle. Ah, okay, so that's basically insidious. Okay, dangerous or harmful. Okay, in a quiet, gradual way. Okay, so it doesn't sort of like hit you in the face, right? Immediately. Okay, it is very slowly biting away at you. Okay, that's basically insidious. Okay, or anybody else has any other words that you want me to clarify? Okay, can you tell which questions are obviously direct? They're only direct and inference questions today. Ah, good. Okay, so the first question, because they're asking you for a word, obviously a direct question. All right. Question 1B, why do you think immediately inference question. So you notice all the markers that I shared with you earlier, they basically give you an idea, right, of what the question is requiring of you skills wise. Do you need to do sourcing? Do you need to do inferring? So look out for these kinds of question markers. In this case, question 2A, notice I don't know whether it's direct or inference. So later, when you go to the passage, that's the main way you can confirm. Okay? Now over here, two words, again, direct. Question 3, what does the writer mean? Okay, we don't know, direct or inference, so we double check later. But question 3B, tone. Good. Tone is immediately inference. Okay? Now question 4, right? Typically, when you see answer in own words, okay, it is a good sign that it's a direct question, but double check again, right, against the paragraph to see whether or not it's really direct, or maybe you need to do some inferring. Okay? Now, question 5, you notice is basically your talking heads question, right? We have ski and BD over here. Okay, now typically for this question, they are typically, right, not all the time, they're usually direct questions. Okay, but to double confirm, if you take a look, 5A, what can Ski mention to support his view? Notice they're asking you to do some sort of sourcing from paragraph 5, direct. Okay, and again, for 5B, again, they're asking you to do some sourcing, right? What reason can she use from paragraph 5 itself? Likely direct. Okay, correct. Talking heads questions, they are typically direct, typically. Okay, but sometimes you may get an inference question under your talking heads question as well. Again, always double check the question markers and you go back to the paragraph to double confirm if the answer is staring directly into your face or not. Okay, can? Can? Okay. Now, I do want you to read and try some of the questions on your own. Okay, so let me clear the screen. Okay, I want you to try not all of the questions, but only questions 1, 2, and 3. Yes, 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, and so on and so forth. Okay, now the passage, I am going to give you some help. Okay, I did prepare freshly brewed vocabulary. Get it? Because overmugged is like a mug, so it's like freshly brewed, like coffee mug. Thanks. Okay, but yes, some freshly brewed vocab for you. Okay, now over here, okay, some of the words that you guys were asking about, you notice they are mentioned here again. Okay, so feel free to refer to this as you are reading the passage and as you try the questions. One example, paragraph 4, the word fruiting body. I feel like the definition is not so helpful, so I've given you a picture over here. And if you're wondering what the picture is referencing, basically, and I don't know if you guys learned this for bio or anything, okay, but the mushroom cap, right, this top part, that is known as the fruiting body. Okay, so everything else, right, is not considered the fruiting body. Yeah, it's like the roots and stuff like that, correct, right? So the roots are at the bottom and this is the fruiting body. This is the one that basically helps to release the spores of the mushroom so that it can, yeah, so it can populate. Good. Okay? Can so far? Can Now I am going to give you some time to try. Feel free to screenshot this, take a picture of this. I will leave this on screen. I want you to try questions. Hold on. 1, 2, and 3 only. But if you're done early, right, feel free to try the other questions on your own as well. I will give you maybe about, since it's a pretty short passage, can I give you about 7, 8 minutes? Okay, now I'm going to give you guys a choice. Do you want ducks or a normal boring timer? Ducks. Yeah, do you want ducks? Okay. For those of you in my class, you already know what I'm going to do. Okay, I'll give you maybe 8 minutes then. 8 minutes, okay. Okay, so I will give maybe, okay, I'll put this on screen for those of you who are wondering what on earth is this teacher going on about. Okay, I have a duck race timer over here. I hope you guys can see. How many ducks should we have? You can choose 2 to 100. A tower, 67. Fine. All right, we'll have 67 ducks. Okay, let me put it over here. Now the ducks are going to race for 8 minutes, okay? Once you're done with your work, feel free to watch the ducks race. Feel free to let me know which duck you think is going to win as well. There are only 67 ducks today, so you can choose from duck 1 all the way to 67. Okay, but what is most important is that you read and complete 1, 2, and 3. All right, everybody got that? Can I get you to give me one more emoji of choice and then I'll start the race? Okay, great. All right. You have 8 minutes. Your time starts now. Okay, I'll make it a little bit bigger, right, so that you can see. Let me see. I think it should be 57. Yeah, feel free to use the toilet if you need to. Or just make sure that you're back by the time the 6 minutes up. Ah, okay. So Chloe, we will actually take a look at that word later. So maybe you can underline it first. Okay, try to infer from the clues though. Not exactly. In a sense, but not exactly. All right. So we'll run through that word in particular later on because I think we need it to answer one of the questions later. Okay, but good. All right. Can I get you guys to circle or box up the word jettisons? Yep, correct. Right. It is to get rid of something, but it has to do with how the thing is being gotten rid of as well. Okay, 4 more minutes, right? I do hope you guys are trying the questions, not just watching the dots. Okay, you have about 1.5 more minutes. Yes, all right. You can go to the toilet. Feel free to. Okay, for those of you who are already done, all right, feel free to let me know which duck you think is going to win as well. Okay, so I'm assuming that guess you think that duck number 33 or 67 is going to win. 49, I think Rosalind. Okay, let's see. We have about a minute more to go. Right, so if you're done early, feel free to try the other questions. Perfectly fine. 51. Ooh. 61. Right. Okay, so let us see. Just 40-ish more seconds to go. Right, Noble 58. Okay. Very interesting numbers. I like how all of you are basically at 19. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, I initially wanted to stop the race prematurely because it seems like most of you are done, but it's okay lah. 10 more seconds. Oh, the green duck was 37. Oh, duck number 59 won. Right, Noble, yours was 58, right? And I think Phoebe, yours was duck 61. So close, okay? But never mind, okay? There'll be more opportunities maybe. And if you're ever feeling bored, you can always just pull up the duck race and then just try to predict which duck you think is going to win with your friends, okay? More importantly, everybody more or less done with questions 1, 2, and 3? Should be pretty okay, right? Passage was a bit tricky. Okay, so that's what we're going to be running through right now, lah. Okay? Now, I think one of you asked me about the word jettisons, and we'll actually take a look at that. I hope all of you have marked that word out as well. I think, Evan, you also suggested, right, a meaning. Okay, not wrong, but it also, again, to repeat, has to do with how the thing is being gotten rid of. Okay? Now, let me X this away. We can have the duck race later if we have time, okay? But I don't think there will be a need for a duck race. Maybe for one of the questions later on, okay? Yes, okay? In a sense, in a sense, yeah? Now, let's take a look at the passage as well. Oops, sorry, what happened? Okay, so let's take a look at the passage now. Okay, let me pull out my annotation just in case. Okay, so we'll start with paragraph 1. Okay, so paragraph 1, as always, with your expository comprehension, it will start with an introduction to the topic. Okay, and in this case, they're introducing us to the topic by describing The Last of Us. Right? Have any of you watched the show or play, or do any of you play the game? Because I think it's a TV series. It's about zombies. Yes. Okay. Now, just like your argumentative or expository essays, you can basically take your cue from our author over here and start your essays with a similar hook as well. Something to basically grab the reader's attention. Okay. But of course, inside this passage, the entire thing is the hook. For your argumentative or expository essays, try to keep it shorter, right? Maybe 2, 3 sentences. That one is more than enough. Okay. The author can do this because he's writing an article, not an essay for the O levels. So it's a bit different, like the expectations. Okay. Now, what about The Last of Us? He basically talks about how this is a show. It is based on the video game that is of the same name, and it takes place in a world that's ravaged by a fungus, etc., etc. Okay. Now we have our question 1A that's asking us about a word or asking us for a word. Okay. What is your answer for 1A? Can I hear from you? It has had a devastating effect on Earth. What word is it? What does devastating mean? Devastating means highly destructive, right? So it is destroying a lot of things. Correct. Good. Right. Thank you, Rosalie. The correct answer for 1A is precisely ravaged. Okay. You notice ravage has to do with a similar idea, right, of destruction. Okay. To ravage something is to basically cause a lot of damage, severe, extensive damage to something. You basically devastate. Correct. It has the same meaning as ruin, right? To lay waste to something, to ruin something. Okay, so that's why ravaged is the best word that tells us that the fungus has had a devastating effect because the degree of intensity is the same, the meaning is also the same. It's not just damaging slightly, but damaging to a very high degree, right? To put it quite simply. Okay. Now, this is basically the kind of world, right, that The Last of Us is set in. Okay, they talk about the zombies, as one of you correctly highlighted. And 20 years after the outbreak, the only bits and pieces of civilization are brutally oppressive, quarantine zones, and scattered survivor settlements. Okay, what is your inference for 1B? Why do you think there are only bits and pieces of civilization? Instead of one big happy civilization, we have bits and pieces scattered. Why do you think this is the case? Remember for your inference questions, they will always give you clues, right? Okay, and in this case, our clue, right, is precisely this one over here. We know that in this world, it has been devastated, it is ruined. What has happened to the world is being ruined because most of them have turned into zombie-like monsters. Okay, so why would there only be bits and pieces of civilization? High chance the outbreak has destroyed societies and killed many people. Rosalind, is that your full answer? Most of them turned into zombie-like monsters? I would say that if you wrote only that, most of them turned into zombie-like monsters, maybe maybe you can be a bit more specific about who them is referring to. Right, so most of society or most of people in society have turned into zombie-like monsters. I think that would be a better answer because otherwise, you notice it is not really specific enough. In your answers, in fact, whether it's inference or direct, make sure that it is as specific as possible. Okay, Rosalind, is that clear, dear? More or most of the civilians? I would say civilians. Civilians, I think, can, but it's not the best word, right? I would say that a better word would be to match civilization, right? To match civilization, I think people or people in society, most of the population can. Right, hold on, Richard. The fungus killed so many people that civilization was mostly wiped out. Can, Richard, that's perfectly fine, right? So you can give yourself the mark. Leroy, human civilization, can. All right. Try not to repeat the word in the question though, just in case, especially for your inference questions. Okay. So inference questions, best is to use your own words, right? Completely different words. Try not to reuse the keywords in the question. Adana, Vihan, perfectly fine. Okay. But same comment about the word civilization. Try not to repeat it from the question. They were killed by the zombies, and all that remained were their bones. Okay, but I think for that kind of answer, it doesn't really capture the fact that there are still small societies around, right? From your answer, it would imply that they were all dead. Then, like that, there would be no civilization left at all. Do you follow me, dear? H? Sorry, dear, I don't know your name. But is that clear, dear? Can I? Okay, so try to be, yeah, so always match the question, always double confirm. Okay, but I think all of you are definitely on the right track because we know that it is a world that is overrun with zombies. Okay, do any of you actually like zombie movies out of curiosity? Because I know like there are a lot of K-dramas nowadays that have to do with zombies, right? Train to Busan's your favorite? Okay, yes, it's one of my favorites as well. All of us, I did. Resident Evil. Oh, yes, right. Actually, Resident Evil is something that my husband loves. Ah, your mother likes that? Yeah, I guess you can tell my generation. Okay, but good. Interesting to know. So I'm glad that I'm assuming some of you found this topic a little interesting. That's great. Okay. Now, your father likes Resident Evil? Nice. All right. What do you guys usually say when there's the same man of culture? Is it? Is that the meme? Yes. Okay, sorry. My generation, my age is showing, right? I will move on first. Okay? Now we'll move on to paragraph two. So you know paragraph one is introducing us by describing the last of us. So we know what kind of situation the author is setting us up for. And then paragraph two, they basically zoom in on the fungus that is mentioned in the show, and they talk a bit about the real life version of this kind of fungus. Because this, right? It is based on this real life one, okay? Ophiocordyceps lateralis, sorry. Okay? Now, what our author says is that this particular real life fungus actually has the nickname zombie ant fungus, right? Now, why would the nickname be apt or suitable, right? Why would it be apt or suitable? They taste good in soup. Oh, actually, it's a part of TCM, right, Aaron? Okay. So I'm glad that you guys are making links to the real world and your own experiences. Good. Okay. Yeah, zombies, obviously, we can't relate directly, but we can relate to what we know, what films we've watched. Okay. Yeah, so whatever you read for your expository narrative comprehension, the passages, trying to link it to your own experiences, your own understanding, that will make reading the passage a lot more fun as well. Okay? But what about this one? Why would the nickname be suitable or apt? Do I need to infer or is the answer found inside paragraph two? Zombie fungi soup. I'm glad that's your favorite, Richard. Well, okay, good. All right. It is actually mentioned inside paragraph two, right? Like how a human becomes a zombified creature against his will in the show, the fungus slowly takes over its host's behavior. So this is actually, right, the sourcing for us, right? This is why the name zombie ant fungus, it is so suitable. Because just like the zombie virus, the fungus takes over, right? The actions and the body of the ant. So you notice you cannot copy and paste this one exactly, right? This is what I mean, right? But a direct question where you cannot copy and paste everything. You need to tweak it to answer the question. Because remember that the question is about the zombie ant fungus, not just zombie fungus. So you need to capture the fact that it takes over the ant's body, right? So Evan, you wrote the fungus slowly takes over the host behavior. That answer, remember what I just said? A bit incomplete. You need to say takes over the host ant's behavior because we're talking about the nickname zombie ant fungus. Do you follow me, dear? Otherwise, everything else is okay. You just needed to add the word ant. Yeah. So things like this can make a difference. Lah. Yeah. We always assume the examiner is super strict and super petty. And this is one of those strict, petty things that examiners can do. Okay. Especially for direct questions. Because otherwise, correct, right? Because otherwise, you notice this one is not really answering the question directly. Okay. Yeah. So for your direct questions, the answer can be found there directly inside the passage. It's staring you, right, directly into your eyes. But make sure that when you are phrasing it in your final answer, phrase it in a way that answers the question directly, always. Okay. Okay. Good, 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 good. Anybody else would like to double check their answer for 2A first? Gabby can. All right. Instead of saying the host's behavior, maybe the fungus affects the ant's body and slowly takes over its behavior is fine. Because otherwise you'll be repeating. Okay. Can Right. Anybody else? Has any other questions for me or so far so good? Richard, your answer is perfectly fine. Right. Zombified. Okay. I think it's just your typing. Perfectly fine. Okay, the fungus slowly takes over its host ant's body, right? Host ant's behavior. Okay, so you notice the main, yes, right? You need to have the word ant or the ants because again, the fungus is about the zombie ant fungus. Okay? Okay, good, 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 good. Okay, no other questions. I will move on first. Good. Okay, now the next one has to do with lines 9 to 14. Okay, and remember for this next question, we're supposed to identify, right, not just one word, but two words that suggest that the ant behaves against its will. What are the two words that you have found? Right, let me know in the Zoom chat. Remember it's from lines 9 to 14 only. Enthralled, compelled. Right? Compelled means to force or to oblige someone to do something. Right? So I think, Aaron, you didn't look at lines 9 to 14. Okay. So be careful if they specify where to get your sourcing or where to get your clues from. Okay. Make sure that you follow strictly. Lah. Okay. Compelled means to force someone to do something. Yes, right. So I was compelled, right, to listen to this person because he was nice to me. I was forced to listen to this person because he had been nice to me. Do you see what I mean? Okay. Now, my next question to you is, do I need inverted commas? All right. Do I need inverted commas like this, or is it okay if I just type it like this? Yes, good. Thank you, Aaron. You need inverted commas. Okay. If you don't have inverted commas for direct questions asking you for a word, a phrase, an expression, a sentence, your answer is immediately wrong. Okay. And some of your seniors can attest to this. Okay. So some of your seniors, I still remember for their WAs, right? They were asking for a word. And I think some of them, they wrote the right word. Okay, but because they didn't include the inverted commas, the teachers marked them wrong. Correct sentence, word, expression. Okay, you need inverted commas. It doesn't have to be double inverted commas, right? So Miki, if you just put single inverted commas, it's perfectly fine as well. But the inverted commas must be there. Okay, everybody follow me so far? Repeat? Okay. So if the question is asking you for a word, a phrase, an expression, a sentence, please give inverted commas, double inverted commas, single inverted commas. Both are fine, but they need to be there. Otherwise, your answer is wrong. If the question asks you, quote a piece of evidence, right? Then inverted commas. So the clues will usually be in the question as well. Very good, good question. Okay, so words like quote the evidence, cite evidence. I think the other one is provide a detail. So quote, cite, detail. These three also are hinting you to include inverted commas. From what we've seen, when students quote, definitely, no choice, you have to quote, right? But when it comes to detail and the word cite, CITE, okay, what we've seen, when students don't give inverted commas, teachers typically mark them wrong as well. Okay, so just be mindful of that, lah. Okay? Are everyone more or less clear with regards to this one? I hope you guys are also keeping track of the ants. I know some of you have given up. Please don't give up. Okay, good. All right, so then let me clear the screen. Okay, and let's move on to focus on lesson. Very good. Okay, I like hearing that too. Okay, now we'll move on to our next question. Okay, now next question, insidious. Okay, and you're supposed to basically tell me what the author is trying to say when he describes it as insidious, right? Okay, so from what we know, what is so insidious about it? You notice they talk about how basically, um, once you are infected by this, you have no choice, right? And it doesn't hit you like you're infected and then that's it, right? You die. No, if you're an ant and you get infected by this, right? It is very good. It is very subtle. It is very gradual over a period of time. Okay, you will start to feel it sort of like biting against you. You start falling sick, and then, right, you die, to put it quite simply. Okay? You notice there is a period, in fact, where you are perfectly fine as well. So, correct. So you are fine at first, and then you get sicker and sicker and sicker. Okay? And once, right, Once the fungus decides to actually act on it and kill you and take over your body, by then you didn't even realize the fungus was in your body. It's too late. So that is what makes it so dangerous, right? Correct, right? Dangerous because you just don't know, right? You don't realize until it's too late. Okay? And of course, I've given you the definition of insidious. Now, if I were to use it like this, I use the definition in my answer. He means that the fungus is dangerous in a quiet, gradual way. Do you think this answer is okay? So what's wrong about it? Good. Again, it is missing the ends. I am not contextualizing it. Good, Evan, it is incomplete, right? I need to mention the link back to the ants. He means that the fungus is able to cause harm, so it is dangerous, right? Without the ants even knowing about it. Do you see what I mean? So just like the question earlier, I need to always be a bit more specific to the context. Yeah, right. So let me see. What answers do you have first? Because I think this one, I do accept a range of answers. Okay, if you wrote that he means that the fungus is dangerous or it's able to cause harm without the ants knowing until it is too late to do anything to stop it, that answer I will also accept. Right? I need you to basically capture what is so insidious about the behavior, right, of the fungus to the ants. Right, Vihan, can I get you to tell me your full answer? Silent killer sounds about okay, but how did you phrase it? So, Vihan, I'm assuming you wrote something like, it tells me that the fungus was a silent killer. I see. Okay, my advice, because silent killer, I think you can probably get the mark, right? As a BOD mark, but you notice that it is not very, very precise. Because it doesn't really capture insidious fully, right? So you're not wrong that it's a silent killer, right? So I think you'll probably get the mark, right? BOD. Okay, but just be mindful in your answers the next time. Try to explain it a bit more obviously, lah. Can dear? Right, Vihan, does that answer your question? Okay, Evan, the fungus is harmful, yet very subtle, causing infected ants to not realize other ants are infected before they're infected themselves. Okay, all right. Subtle, let me see. Causing uninfected ants, is it? Or infected ants to not realize other ants are infected. Okay. Okay, so Evan, I think we can already see one concern with your answer. Okay, a bit long. Yeah, okay, I just saw your message, right? Access denied, not because it is wrong ideas wise, but I think you're repeating the infected one a little bit too much to the point where it sounds a bit confusing. So if you had just written the fungus is harmful yet very subtle, causing because I think this bit causing infected ants to not realize other ants are infected before they're infected themselves. This one I think is the pretty confusing part. Right? Maybe causing uninfected ants to not realize that the infected ants are infected, full stop, is fine. Right? Because I think this bit here is a bit too extra. Causing uninfected ants to not realize other ants are infected. Ken? Rosalind, sorry. What was the answer for 2B? 2B, the answer, oops, sorry. Enthralled and compelled. Can thank you, Evan. Okay, no problem. But Rosalind, don't forget your inverted comments lah. Okay. Any other answers for Insidious? There is a horror movie, you're right. There's a horror movie, pretty famous, right? Insidious? Okay. And if you notice, even in the movie, what was so insidious? If I'm not wrong, I'm not really a horror movie fan, but they didn't realize that they were being haunted until it was too late. Again, by definition, what insidious is all about. The word insidious is all about. Okay? Now, notice insidious. I mentioned it in a horror situation. We're using it to describe the behavior of the fungus. Is the word insidious a good thing? Does our writer approve of the fungus's behavior? That's why he uses insidious. So is our writer okay with the fact that the fungus is like this? Right, Richard, sorry, I just saw your comment again. Yeah, just the top part is fine. So that's why I say the second bit about causing the uninfected ends, etc., etc. It's a bit too long, right? You don't really need it, lah. Right? But good, Richard. I'm glad that you're able to basically look at your answer, right? And identify gaps in your own answers. This metacognitive skill is very good, right? No matter what subject you take. Okay? Good. The word insidious is actually not a good, right? Because insidious, by definition, it is something harmful and dangerous, right? So insidious actually has a negative connotation, right? So we don't use the word insidious, right, in any positive context, right, to be honest. So that means if I am using the word insidious, which has a negative connotation to describe something, that means I probably don't like that thing. I probably think that thing is also pretty negative. Do you see what I'm getting at? Yeah, so the word choices that an author uses, it is a great giveaway, right, as to what their attitude is. And once I know the attitude, I can figure out the tone. Very good. Okay, so once I know the attitude, I know exactly what the tone is. And in this case, I know, all right, he doesn't approve of the fungus's behavior. So his tone can't be positive. It cannot be one of approval either. So what do you think his tone is? Disapproval. Okay? Remember, attitude influences tone. If you wrote critical, disapproving, perfectly fine. Right? Critical, I'm okay with it as well. Concern, can. All right, I would accept concern. Maybe unease, I would accept it too. Because insidious, it does make you feel uneasy, right? Because you realize that this particular ant, or this particular fungus, it is hurting the ants without the ants even knowing. Right? So it is a bit Sass. Okay, sass is not a tone to you, not a word to describe tone, but I get what you mean, right? It's a bit suspicious, right? Oh man, is able to do this. You feel uncomfortable. Okay, now, Chloe, I will say when it comes to questions on tone and attitude, in fact, avoid using positive and negative. The reason is because negative, it could be disapproving, it could also be angry, it could also be sad, it could also be disappointed, right? Negative is too broad a word. Same with positive. But positive, it could be happy, it could be a relief, a tone of relief. Again, too broad. Do you follow me, Chloe? The answer is hardly ever negative or positive lah. Right? Serious, I would be a little stricter because I think serious doesn't capture attitude as well. All right. In this case, you notice insidious, there is danger, right? And our author is saying that, oh, this is what makes the behavior, right? So insidious. It is immediate disapproval. Do you follow me, Vihan? In some cases, the word serious could work, but I usually advise students to think of something that reflects the attitude a bit more clearly lah. Candia, does it answer your questions? Chloe, does it answer your question now? No problem. Okay. Now, TLDR, or the main takeaway from this, take a look at the author's word choices, identify the author's attitude towards the thing first, and then from there you infer the tone. Right? You can start with, oh, his attitude is one that is negative. What kind of negative? His attitude is one of positivity. What kind of positivity? Is it relief? Is it happiness? Okay, so Miyuki, I think I mentioned the bit about serious. Okay. It is serious, I think is a bit too broad lah. Try to go for a word that captures the author's attitude more clearly. Okay, no worries, dear. Well, I guess he's not really disapproving of the fungi per se, right? But I think more so the way that the fungi behaves lah. Yeah, it's a sort of thing where sometimes you see certain things happen, I guess, in nature as well, and it gives you an ick. Okay, yeah, that kind of thing lah. So disapproval, I think, does capture the ick as one of you is suggesting as well. Do you follow me, Richard? It does sound weird, all right? There's nothing you can do, but you can still feel something about it. Do you follow me there? Okay. Now, I'm going to move on to, all right, the next one. Okay, oops, sorry. Let me clear the screen. Okay, so the next question I do think, right, is our question four. What happens to the ant after it has died from the fungus? Now, one thing interesting about question four, notice it is worth 3 marks. Okay, so the minute it is worth 3 marks, you know for sure that it cannot be a single sentence, right? It cannot be correct, right? It cannot be a very short answer. You likely need to do sourcing for 3 points or 3 parts. And in this case, right, what happens to the ant after it has died from the fungus? Notice this is actually where I can anchor, right, my sourcing. Keywords in the question appearing inside the paragraph just like this. Okay, it means that my answer is probably nearby. Okay, so from here you notice right after is where I can get my points. The fungus, number one, sends a fruiting body out through the base of the ant head. Then it jettisons its spores like a cannon. And number three, condemns new ants to the same fate. Okay, so you notice I have my 3 points, right? Can I just copy and paste? Yeah, I can't because over here they say answer in your own words. Okay, so you notice even though it is a direct question, the answer is staring directly into my eyes. Okay, it doesn't mean that I can just copy and paste as is. I need to do something to it before I can put it in my final answer for the examiner to look and mark. Okay, correct. So this is also where we get a bit of summary, paraphrasing, tips, right? I will say because section C is compre and your summary anyway. Again, my tip for you is before you start paraphrasing, right? Try to break it up into smaller parts first. Okay, this is going to help you also decide which words or phrases you should paraphrase, which words or phrases you don't need to paraphrase. For example, if you take a look at the first one, the fungus sends a fruiting body out through the base of the ant's head. Okay, notice when I break it up into parts like this, there are some words I don't need to paraphrase, right? Do I need to paraphrase the word fungus? Fungi? Fungi and fungus technically the same, right? Fungi, it's a good word, right? Fungus and fungi. Yes, right? I would say you don't need to paraphrase it. Okay, so I don't need to paraphrase it. Also because if you take a look at the question, it's already inside the question. Do I need to paraphrase the word sense? You can just give me thumbs up or thumbs down. Yes, good. All right. Sense, I should paraphrase. What about fruiting body? Do I need to paraphrase fruiting body? Why not? Why don't I need to paraphrase fruiting body? Good keyword. More importantly, it's a specific kind of term, right? Remember the picture that I showed you? It is specific to fungus and fungi. Remember the cap and then the roots? Yes, right. So because it's a technical term, there's no need for me to paraphrase this. Okay, I can leave it be. Now, base. Should I paraphrase this? Okay, right? What about the ant's head? Can you paraphrase head? No need. Okay, good. Okay, so you notice when I break it up into parts like this, it is very clear to me what words I should paraphrase, what words I don't need to paraphrase. Okay? Any technical term, any specific jargon, no need to paraphrase. Right? Especially if it already appears inside the question. Same for your summary. If the word appears inside the summary question, right? Identify the pros and cons of drinking coffee. Don't need to paraphrase drinking, don't need to paraphrase coffee. Do you see what I mean? Okay, right? Now, if you take a look, right, and let's say I decide to go, because summary, one thing that a lot of us like to do, we look for synonyms, right? So here are a couple of synonyms for sends and base, right? Sends, I delivers or passes. Base, I have bottom or foundation. If we take a look at the word sends first, which synonym should I go with? The fungus delivers a fruiting body out of the ant's head. fungus technically delivers and sends same meaning, right? Does it sound natural? The fungus delivers a fruiting body out of the ant's head. Okay. Between the two, passes is stronger. Now, what about base? Can I say the foundation of the ant's head? Bottom sounds more natural, right? Precisely. So if you take a look at these two, all right, these two, you notice, delivers and sends, similar meaning, right? I send a letter, I deliver a letter, right? I sent a message, I delivered a message. Okay, but you notice in this context, it doesn't sound so natural. Passes, right, sounds better. Okay, same with base, base and foundation, all right? The base of a building, the foundation of a building, same meaning, but in this context, we're not talking about buildings, we're talking about an ant's head, so it is not the best word to paraphrase. Okay? And so if I go with passes and bottom, and I don't paraphrase everything else, for my first point, question 4, after the ant dies, notice I'm always reusing keywords from the question, right? After the ant dies, the fungus passes a fruiting body out of the ant's head. Or, of course, good catch, right? I can even shorten this one out of its head. And just like that, I already get one. Okay? Everyone clear so far? Kenna? So when it comes to your summary, my tip, before paraphrasing, break it up into smaller parts first, and then you decide what to paraphrase, what not to paraphrase. Try to paraphrase as much as you can, okay? But I will say that for the summary, if you're unsure, just leave it be. Okay, if you are unsure for the summary. Okay? Yeah, because summary, remember you get marked for content and language, right? So content, so long as you get 8 points, right? Eight correctly sourced for points, you get 8 out of 8. Okay? Correct. You just need like 2 or 3 to get 10 or 11 out of 15. Okay, but of course, try to paraphrase a bit so that you can boost your language score. Okay? Ken? Yeah, 8 plus 3, 11 out of 15, right? 8 out of 8, 3 out of 7. 8 out of 8, 2 out of 7, that's 10 out of 15. So your sourcing is really important for the summary. But don't just depend on sourcing only. Do try to paraphrase a bit. Try to get 2, 3 marks. Okay. Ken? Anybody has any questions with regards to this first point? If not, I'll move on to jettisons, which I think a lot of you had questions about. Okay. All right. So then let me clear the screen. Let's take a look at jettisons. It jettisons its spores like a cannon. Okay? Now, if you take a look like a cannon, do I need to paraphrase this? I don't need to. Very good. I don't need to paraphrase this because you notice it's just elaborating on the jettisons. Okay? On how, right? Good. On how it is, in a sense, spreading its spores. Okay? So I don't need to paraphrase it, but it does help me understand jettisons a bit better. And I will say that the fact that I have this image of a cannon here to help me understand what jettisons is, my tip for you, and this is again for your summary as well, when it comes to figurative phrases, picture it literally and then you infer from there. Same for any language questions for your narrative or expository compre. Imagine it literally first and then you infer from there. That will give you a sense of what to put in your final answer. So in this case, if I were to imagine a cannon shooting it out like this, and I think Richard, earlier on, you talked about the World War II fuel, right? What do you think our writer is trying to say about the fungus and its spores? How is it getting rid of its spores? Is it doing so gradually, bit by bit? Aaron, you say spreads its spores? Right? Not wrong? Good. All right. It is getting shot out like a cannon. Okay. So instead of just saying spreads, Aaron, if you wrote spreads, is actually correct. All right. But if I want to capture the like a cannon, I want to make my answer more precise. You notice I say the fungus shoots its spores. So after the ant dies, okay, the fungus sends a fruiting body through the ant's head. Then it shoots its spores or it spreads its spores. Ken? Good, good, good. So I'm getting a lot of DMs, right? So if I don't see your DM immediately, I apologize. Okay? And I think earlier on, let me see. Richard, you mentioned ejects, right? Earlier? Ejects is perfectly fine as well. Okay? Because eject, I think, captures the fact that it's being discarded, but pop, like that. Like you have your ejectors, your eject seats, like, pop, right? It's like getting shot out. Okay? Good. All right. Now, I want you to try paraphrasing the last point in pink on your own first. All right, try to combine it with the previous point, and then we will take a look at the last question. Okay? Gabby, your answer is perfectly fine. Good. It infects other ants as well. Okay? Oh, okay. Actually, I see a lot of you have done the paraphrasing. I'm so sorry. But yes, good. All right. It infects other ants as well. Correct. Okay? Sentences new ants to the same destiny. Ah, okay. So, Richard, I think can, right? I see that you're paraphrasing it word for word. So condemned sentences, right? Same destiny. Okay. Not wrong, right, Richard? So yours is okay as well. Okay. But you notice I can actually phrase it like this, right? It shoots, it releases its spores that spread to other ants. Or it releases or shoots its spores and infects other ants, like what I think Evan and Gabby shared. Okay, but Richard is fine as well. Vihan can, all right, perfectly fine. Okay. This is just to show you that when it comes to your paraphrasing, if your answer does not look like the answer key, right, or your school's answer key or whatever, it doesn't mean that your paraphrasing is wrong. There are many ways to paraphrase a particular point for the summary, right, in particular. So that's why I always encourage students, right, to please paraphrase just a little bit here and there. You never know, your paraphrasing may even be better than the answer key. Okay? Can so far, but good. I like that a lot of you are able to capture, right, the same ideas. Guess I don't know what that is. I'm a bit too scared to click on it, so I will not. Okay. Now, do avoid paraphrasing word for word, right? If it doesn't sound supernatural. Okay, so I think, for instance, Vihan is okay. Richard, I think the same destiny, the destiny part, I think it does sound a bit poetic. So maybe you can tweak it to make it a bit more context focused, right? So more contextualized. Okay, but other than that, no issues. Good, 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 good. Anybody has any questions with regards to this? Okay, all right. So then I will move on first. Oops, sorry. Do not click on the link. Thank you, Aaron. Can I delete? Oh, wait, I can do it. I'm scared. Okay, I have deleted it. For those of you who've clicked it, I don't know what's there. Okay. Guess. Why are you like this? Oh, he left the chat already. Okay. All right. But don't worry, I've already deleted it. Okay. So something inappropriate. Okay, but don't worry, it's already deleted. Okay, so if you didn't see the link, that's fine. Okay. Now we'll move on to the last one first. Okay, which is your question 5. All right. So ski and BD. Okay, so the world of the television series The Last of Us is different from the real world. True, but we should still be wary of fungi. Yes, all right. The names are like ski BD, like skibidi. Get it? Trying to relate to you guys, but I don't know if your generation's a skibidi generation. No? Oh, sorry. I don't know. I thought you guys were into skibidi. Freddy Fazbear. Please, it just sounds noted, Evan. All right. I had no idea. One of the students was telling me, right, that you guys are in what, 5 nights at Freddy's now? The show was lame. Okay, fine, fine, right? I take it back, okay? But for this particular show, or for this particular question, rather, okay, their names are as is, okay? Now, whatever the names are, my tip for you for your talking heads question, always unpack the speech bubbles first. Okay. Now, this is because, right, sometimes the speech bubbles may hide certain clues to help you with your sourcing. And if you think about it, this kind of question, it is typically like a reverse engineering of your PEL, right? paragraphs, point, elaborate, example, link. You notice what they're giving you are basically 2 points. And then what you often need to do for this kind of question is to identify a potential elaboration or a potential example. Yeah, right. You notice that, right? It's reverse engineered PEL. Okay, just that they've broken it down for you into this question type. Okay. Now, if you take a look, all right, notice for ski, he says that The Last of Us is different from the real world. Okay, what does real world mean? When he says real world, good reality. Okay, so this means the world of the TV series The Last of Us, it is different from our current reality. Good, Adam. Okay, now what about wary? What does it mean? Wary of. What, Rosalind? Okay, let me message you the full answer for question 4. Okay, actually, let me type it inside the chat, lah. Right, a suggested paraphrasing, not the only paraphrasing. Okay, good. Right, Adam? Careful. Okay, to be wary of is to not just be careful, like, oh, just be careful. It's to be cautious. So it's like being careful with a little bit of suspicion, if that makes sense. Yes, right. So to be wary of is to show caution, like, oh, because there could be a possible danger. Oh, there could be a particular problem. So I'm approaching it very carefully, very cautiously. Okay, can so far? Now, can I get you to try 5A? You have 1 minute. You want the duck race? Sure. Okay, it will just be a minute long. Okay, maybe in this case, I will just have 2 ducks race. Where are my cats? They're outside. Okay, but you have 1 minute. Okay, so you can decide between Albert Einstein and a star duck. Okay, duck number 2. The rest of you, feel free. Duck number 1. Okay, for those of you who are already done, right, feel free to let me know between the 2 ducks, which one you think is going to be the winner. Okay, we only have 5 minutes before I release you from this prison. So this is quite literally the last question and the last duck race. Okay? Oh, congrats, Aaron. All right, duck number 1 won. Ah, you chose 1 as well. Great. Congratulations. Okay? Now let's take a look at the answers for 5A. Okay? Now, the answer for 5A is basically this. Okay? Only a few ants, or unlike in the television series, only a few ants in a colony are infected. Okay? This is so that the ecosystem stay balanced. But if you didn't include for ecosystems to stay balanced, your answer is correct as well. Okay, I'll put the full answer on screen. Don't worry about it. Okay, this one, I do think you could have just copied and pasted as isla. Okay? Oh, sorry. Something like this. Okay, so unlike, right, in the television series, okay, only a few infected. So this part, if you didn't include it, it's fine. Person, well, right? Unlike The Last of Us, the infected ant does not suddenly start attacking other ants. Actually, that one is fine too. Right, Vihan, that one is fine. Okay, the reason why this one is the better answer is because I think it captures, right, the difference a lot more obviously. That's about it. Because the reason why they don't start suddenly attacking other ants is because they have a different goal. Do you follow me, Vihan? Can I? No problem, dear. Okay, so question 5B. Question 5B, what reason can BD use from paragraph 5 to support her view? Her view, remember, right, is that we should be wary of fungi, right? She's not talking about fungi in The Last of Us. She's talking about fungi in real life. What reason can she provide to support her view? Very good, Chloe. Some have become immune to almost every known treatment available, posing another critical threat to global health. I would encourage you to basically copy and paste the full thing because I think this one really captures why we need to be cautious. This one is actually true, right? So feel free to look this one up. But it is not a super duper. Okay, I would say it's quite relevant, right? But it's not like super duper scary at this point in time just yet. Okay, but scientists are rightfully concerned. Okay. Yeah, so basically the TLDR for this, what does it mean that they're immune to all of this? Why would it be a critical threat, right, to global health? So usually doctors are able to treat, right, certain infections with medicine, but some fungi have changed over time. They've become more resistant, which means the medicine no longer works. So this makes them really, really dangerous because you realize that they can spread, they can become harder to cure. And so if you're infected or with a particular kind of fungi, correct, right? You have some sort of like fungal problem with your food or what, and the fungus tends to be or is something that's resistant to the medicine, then it's going to be difficult to cure, if not impossible. Yeah. Okay, but everybody can so far with regards to all five questions? Okay. Anybody has any questions for me? And how many times do you see the ant? I'll give you the answer actually at the end. 13, 17, 14. Ah, okay. Actually, the correct number of times the ant has appeared, 20. The ant has appeared 20 times, including this slide. Ah, okay. Feel free to rewatch because I do think that this is going to be uploaded, right, to YouTube. Feel free to rewatch and recount the number of ants should be 20. Okay? Now, if you enjoyed our WA1 online revision session, do drop us a review on Google. Okay, so feel free to scan this QR code, and I think it should lead you to the Google review section, I think. Okay, yes, okay, so feel free to do that. And of course, right, if you want more information, you can basically scan this QR code. These are all the lessons for Upper Sec English. We do have Upper Sec G2 English, so we focus on G2 specific compre questions for those of you asking. We only have one class currently, Tuesday, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. with me, okay? And this is my schedule, basically, okay? All right, everyone more or less, okay? Anybody has any questions for me? Any burning questions? Anything else, you can just scan and take a look at the Overmarked website. Okay, no other questions. I will release you from this prison, okay? Let me go back to this one. Okay, I will release you from this prison. You can leave the Zoom meeting. This one or the next one? Right, Damia? No problem. Bye. Have a good breakfast. Right, no problem, Evan. Thank you for being so participative. Right, no problem, Phoebe. Okay, no problem. Thank you, everybody. Right, bye. Have a good breakfast. Bye, Adam. Bye, Rosaline. Okay, I will end the Zoom meeting in about a couple of minutes more lah. Okay? Question 5, Rosalind? Sure. Okay, so for 5A, 5B, like this one? Okay, I'll show. Do you want me to just type the answers in the Zoom chat there? Will that be better for you? 5B is the one in green. Ah, so 5A is this one. Okay, let me put here inside the chat. Oops, sorry. 5B, hold on. I'm just copying and pasting. Okay, for 5B, I basically paraphrased it slightly. Damia, I will not be sending the slides, but right, the entire recording, it will be uploaded to YouTube. So right after this, I'll be sending it to the admin team and they will be uploading it on YouTube. Then you can just rewatch it. It's okay for you to screenshot and take pictures as well. Right, no problem, Rosalind. No problem. All right, bye guys. Okay, I'm gonna end this